Hey guys, welcome back to an all new episode of a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. I'm your host, Matt Kozikowski, and alongside me today is the absolutely wonderful Anarkid Ash. Anarkid, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. I'm really excited about this one. I know you're super young into wrestling here. I know you're just getting started. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you here. Um, I'd love to get to know you here a little bit and have the fans get to know you as well. So let's get started. What was life like growing up for you as a kid growing up?
I'd say it was pretty standard. I was always the kid getting in a little more trouble than all the other ones. I think that's pretty much a given here. But it was pretty normal. I was very rebellious. I was like I'd like, go against things constantly just for the fun of it, just
Why
just
not?
to see what happens. A
Absolutely.
little, a little adventure.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I just got that vibe from you, right? The first time I seen you, I was like, yeah, she was rebellious growing up. You could tell.
Mhm.
So that's absolutely awesome. You got to have a little misfit adventure in your life. It's what grows you up, brings you up, and it's a lot more fun to do stuff and look outside the box. Um, when did you first start watching professional wrestling?
Um, I'd say like I watched it like here and there when I was younger and then really got into it like a year or so before I started training because when I was younger I was more into like the MMA stuff.
Okay.
Like I did like on and off, whatever. I did amateur wrestling for a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, and then I started like hardcore getting into pro wrestling and realizing, oh my God, I actually really like this.
Well, it's adventurous too, and you got rebellious people there too, so it's like, hey, right up your alley. It's perfect. Did you have any like favorites that really resonated with you when you started watching it?
Yes, 100% Ruby Soho. Right there. I've said it like a lot, but I take a lot of inspiration from her. And when I saw her, I was like, oh my God. Like, I totally resonate with that and I love it. And I just love her. Like, she's one of my favorites.
She's fantastic, and it's very upsetting to see that WWE didn't push her the way she should have, because she is fantastic. I love her to death. I think she's great. I've been a fan of hers on the indies a little bit before she signed to WWE. That's where I finally found her, like probably within like the first like last 2 years she was in the indies before WWE. And when she went to AEW, I was really excited because I thought maybe she's going to get this big push and, do things. And she was getting showcased a lot more than she did in WWE.
Mhm.
And she's got that rebellious punk rock, bullshit, no bullshit attitude. It's fantastic. And, I think she is one of the most underrated performers in pro wrestling today. I've been a big fan of hers. I thought the Riot Squad was great. I think what she's doing with the Outcast is fantastic. But yeah, she's so incredible. I absolutely love her too. Another one, Soraya, she's fantastic as well.
Mhm.
Gotta love her. You
Definitely.
know, was there any others besides Ruby that really resonated with you that kind of, puts you to where you wanted to be as a pro wrestler?
Definitely. I want to say like Alexa Bliss. She was one of my big ones too. I absolutely like loved her character when she was like with the Fiend and like all
Yep.
of that. Like that was like my favorite era of Alexa right there.
Oh,
She
she's
just had that
great.
like unhinged part of her and I loved it so much.
And it's so funny because a lot of people loved it at first, and I loved it the entire time too. But a lot of people started hating it, and it started like, like, okay, Alexa's having fun. That's all that
Mhm.
matters. But you get fans that are like, this is boring. It's drawing out, But I thought she was doing great with it. I've been a big fan of Alexa since her glitter days, where she was in NXT, and she's one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love her. I think she's great. Can't wait till she comes back, because I think when she
Mhm.
comes back, she's going to be with Bray again. That's where they were leading to. So I'm excited to see what she does when she comes back, but she's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Um, what was that moment that you knew pro wrestling is what you wanted to do?
Like, I think the first time I stepped into a ring, like to start training and stuff, I just felt it. It's like one of those things that you just like, you get in there and you do stuff, and it's like, oh my God, I really like this. And I realized that I started looking forward to training every day. Like, every day when I wake up, oh my God, I get to go train. Or like, oh my God, I get to go do this. And it's pro wrestling and it's so awesome. And I'm like so lucky to get to do this. And it's that excitement has stayed with me throughout my like very young career. It's like it's just something you know when you start that it's like I want to do this and I want to keep doing this and I want to make it. And it's just, it's just a feeling.
Oh, absolutely. When you first stepped into the ring, what was the first thing going through your mind? Like, I know like from different aspects, like I trained to be a pro wrestler. The first thing we did was take bumps, obviously, and I ended up with a concussion. A terrible decision. But what was the first thing going through your mind stepping through those ropes the first time and doing all that, taking bumps and all that stuff?
I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely nervous. I was like, okay, this is a bit different than what I'm used to.
For sure.
Um, it was something that it took getting used to, but I got used to it and I started like loosening up more and finally like being myself
Yeah.
while I'm training and while I'm out there and like doing stuff. And yeah, very nerve-wracking at first. Very, very nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. What was the first like out of the box thing that you thought like you would have never been able to do inside the professional wrestling ring while training? Like I've heard stories like people doing 450s off the top rope or, certain things. What was that first thing that was like, oh crap, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, that you shocked yourself doing?
Um, it's like very basic, but my first like fancy move was a head scissor.
Okay.
And I legit never thought I'd be able to do that. Coming from like Krav Maga and
Yeah.
stuff where I'd never leave my feet. And then I'm like over here doing this.
Yep.
And now obviously there's a bunch of other things, but like that was the first time I was like, okay, I just did that. I'm proud of myself. Look at me go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? I think the head scissor is one of the most underrated moves in professional wrestling. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it comes down to it, like how you actually perform it. I think a lot of people try to make it look fancy and it's so simple that it's like, I wouldn't say simple, right? It is, tricky. Obviously, you got to go reverse and, legs to the head. But I definitely, think that a lot of people that when they try to do it, I think are trying to be over the top flashy. And I think like when you're doing it, it comes off different where it comes off more smooth. So I love seeing it. It's awesome. It's a great move. I think it's fantastic. How long did it take you to like perfect that move?
It took me like a month or two, because I would go to shows with my dad because he's a wrestler too. And because
Okay.
I started off managing. I started off managing like our little group that we have.
Yeah.
And he would let me like do little things where I'd do a head scissor and I'd get to like work on it and like practice it in front of like a crowd, you
Yeah.
know? Like, and getting used to that like feeling of being in front of people and doing it. And I think that's what it really took for me to like get it down, you know? Because in training, I was still a little like timid about it because obviously I wasn't that used to it. But then when I finally got out there and got used to the reactions, got used to doing it in front of people, I loosened up and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I got it. I can do it now. I've got it down. And
Oh,
now it's one of
absolutely.
those that I could just do like
Do
anytime.
nothing. Yeah. Absolutely. So where was it that you originally trained at?
So as I mentioned, my dad's a wrestler, so he trained me.
Okay.
Yeah, when I decided to train, he was like, okay, okay. And he just started going with me through the basics and I learned pro wrestling. Like, I've been around it. I've known how he does it and everything. And it was obviously a new thing like I've talked about before. I was
Yeah.
still very nervous because it's so different.
Yep.
But yeah, that's where I started. He started training me and yeah.
That's awesome. Now does he have his own school or does he like just train sporadically?
No, he doesn't have a school. We train in a ring in San Antonio
Okay.
that like it's just like in a gym. Like, we just go there and we do our thing and whatever. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Was there ever a time where your dad like didn't want you to be a pro wrestler, or was he always for it?
Not necessarily didn't want me to be one. He was just very nervous about it. He still is. Like when I do my matches, he legitimately cannot watch them. He'll, he'll watch the playbacks, but he will not watch it like in
Live.
person. Even if
Yep.
he's ringside, even if he's ringside, he'll legit do anything to not look at what I'm doing. Because he's just
I get it. I get
so
it.
nervous about it. Like
Well,
it's
you're
it's
daddy's little girl, so obviously, right? So,
he's all scared that I'm gonna get hurt or like something's gonna happen. He's just gonna be like,
yep,
So he just doesn't. He has other people watch and tell them like what's going on, like a secondhand narration of the match.
yep.
It- I get it. I do. Like he's nervous for me. He's nervous about the match, because he cares about me, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, that's a great thing, a dad's care is always the best, so he's watching out for you, he wants to make sure you're safe. And sometimes, wrestling, I hate when people say wrestling's fake. It's one of the worst things because it's not. I just got done talking to somebody about it the other day, because when I told them what I do a wrestling podcast. They were like, oh, wrestling, it's fake, isn't it? And I'm like, no, it's not. You know what? There's aspects of it. Yeah, they come out with the determined winner. They know who's winning in advance, obviously, but it can be dangerous. There's wrestlers who have got severely injured. There's wrestlers who have died in that ring. So I totally understand your dad's worry about your safety and everything like that, but I'm sure he's 100%, excited for you and what your future is going to hold, because I truly believe that you're going to end up going places. You're still very young. You're super talented at what you're doing in that ring. So you could only grow from there. And I think you're going to do great things. I'm excited to see what happens next. Now, how did you come up with the name Anarkid Ash?
Okay, so like I'm in the punk scene in San Antonio, like very big in it. Like I go to shows a lot, DIY shows. That's my vibe. And Anarkid was basically just like a play on words of anarchy.
Yep. Okay.
Like, oh, I'm big in the punk scene, like anarchy, like all this other stuff. So my dad was like, I have an idea for you, Anarkid. And I was like, you know what? I like that a lot. And I find myself having to explain like the whole like play on words thing to a lot of people because like anarchid, like what is that? And I'm like, it's just anarchy, but with kid at the end
Yeah.
because I started when I was a kid. I'm a kid,
Yep.
anarchid.
And play on words. I love it. Tell me some of your pop punk favorite bands, or tell me some of your pop punk favorite bands.
I'm not too big into like pop punk, but like bands like Dr. No or like Catalyst is one of my
Okay.
favorites right now. Um And then like I have local bands, like I really like Inner Self, which is a local band from San Antonio. Executioner, which is a thrash band from San Antonio who actually made my entrance song.
That's awesome.
I love them very much. They're one of my favorites. And like they were like the first band that got me into the scene in San
Yep.
Antonio. So I was like, yeah. But
That's awesome. So when you asked them, did you ask them to do your theme music, or did they were like, hey, well, let's do it? Was it
they
something?
they had reached out a little bit beforehand, before I was thinking about getting like custom music.
Yeah.
And then when I was finally ready to like bite the bullet and do it, I was like, hey, I was wondering if that offer like still stands. Like, can y'all still make me a song? And they're like 100% like,
That's awesome.
yes. And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so awesome. And it's literally like even better than I could have asked for. I love it so much.
That's so cool. I'll have to check them out. I'm not big into punk.
Mhm.
Pop punk is more my thing. But I'll definitely check them out. I'm very curious how they actually are. Like I've heard your theme music itself, so I'm curious how the rest of their music sounds. So I'll definitely have to check them out for sure. Now, we talked about where you originally were trained from your dad. How did you get involved in the RWA showcase?
So I feel like that one was just one of those like right person, right times. You know, like the right person happened to see my match and put a word in for me. And then next thing you know, I'm at the RWA showcase. And I was like, it was pretty wild when I figured out that I was doing that. I was like, oh my God, no way.
Yeah, that's
Like,
always awesome.
it's so cool. I was like freaking out low key. Um,
Well,
but yeah, I really,
you get to do a showcase at the school by a legend in the business, Dustin
Mhm.
Rhodes. So that's always so cool to see that, and like I said before we started, like the RWA showcase is such a great platform because wrestlers that have been doing it for quite some time have been there. Newer wrestlers have been there, and it just showcases so much. And like that was the first time I got to see you actually do your thing. And I was, when I watched you, I was like, this girl's cool. I like her. She's awesome. So I was really excited when you agreed to come on the show because I was like, she's gonna be something huge, and I guarantee it. So I'm really excited that I got this opportunity to bring you on. Did you do extra training there before the showcase, or did you just go right into the match?
yeah, I trained there for like a period of like 3 days beforehand over like those 2 weeks before the showcase happened.
Okay.
Which was like so much fun. I loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the people. I loved just getting that advice from
Yeah.
like Dustin Rhodes and like all like everyone there. It was just a great experience, a great atmosphere, and like I'm so thankful for it.
What was one thing that you learned from the RWA that you probably did not know before going there?
I definitely learned like how to work a camera more. Like
Okay.
that was because on the indies, obviously, like sometimes there isn't like a camera and there's people there,
Yeah.
there's people there. So obviously you're selling to like hard cam, but there's also like an audience that
Right.
you need to like be interacting with. But at the RWA, it's a bit different and it's mainly just working the camera. And that was a thing that I definitely had to like get used to.
Yeah.
And it's still something I obviously am, but
Right.
yeah, definitely that.
Well, because yeah, I mean, when you're doing indie shows, you got a lot more people that are doing the recording off their phones or video cameras in the crowd or stuff like that. That you could watch the matches off YouTube for sure, but unless it's like one of those companies that actually have good production and stuff like that, you don't get those camera views. You don't get to see the full match in a great aspect. You see it from the crowd setting, so
Mhm.
it's a different feel because you get that full in-ring look with the RWA. So it shows like, I've heard from multiple people too that they've learned the business aspect of professional wrestling from
Mhm.
Dustin and everything like that. So you get to view like what it's going to be like when you actually get to perform on live television, and I really believe you're going to be there one day for sure. um I definitely can see you running through Impact in the women's division 100%. Being with Rosemary and being with Jessica, I think all together that'd be fantastic. They got their little group there too. What I know, you have a group called the End of the World Party. What
Mhm.
inspired that faction? What inspired that group?
So our group formed shortly after WrestleMania 32.
Okay.
So like I started training a little bit before that, and then after that, my dad Corvus was like, I kind of want to change my character a bit to fit like what was more him,
Yeah.
like so he could get more himself into
Right.
there. And then along came Ricky, who came back from like a huge hiatus from pro wrestling. And he was like, and Corvus and Ricky have been like childhood best friends. They've known each other forever.
That's awesome.
So then that's just what created our group, because it was originally just going to be me and Corvus, and then Ricky came back. And it was like, it was perfect. It was just literally perfect. Like we just all had that chemistry,
Right.
because obviously like he's my dad, and then we have my dad's best friend. Like
Right.
it's amazing.
Somebody that you've been seeing your entire life, probably growing up, so
Hmm.
it's like family all in one. So it's
Hmm.
awesome. So is your dad into the punk scene as well? or is it just something that he wanted to do differently with his character and hit the way he was in the ring?
I I kind of brought him into the punk scene. He was more like into like the Crow and like more gothic aspects of stuff and
Okay.
like emo and stuff like that, as you know, as a lot of people are.
Right.
But I kind of made him go to a few punk shows with me just for funsies, you know? And man, was he nervous about stuff. Like he was, because I like to mosh and do like the pits and stuff like that, and he'd watch me get like rocked in the
Yep.
pit and then stand up and just, oh my God, that was so awesome. Let's do it again.
Have you ever gotten him to do it?
No. He was
No.
like, I'm too old for this, Ash. And I'm like,
You got to do it. You got to do it once, Dad. Come on. You got to do it
I
once.
was like, come on, please, please.
Hey, he wants to fit in with this group, right? So we have to do it. We have to get him in a mosh pit once.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm
You know?
trying to. I really am. I'm putting in that effort to get him in there.
Oh, I mean, I've done it once and I absolutely hated it. But I will say that being in a mosh pit is a different feeling than anything that you'll ever experience at a show. It's
Oh,
fantastic. I mean, even
yeah.
just getting punched in the face on accident, like it's just like,
Yeah.
okay,
And
I'm
it's
done.
like being in a mosh pit changed me from like a barricade kid, like when I go to like big shows, to preferring to be like in the pit.
Yep.
Cause that's my thing. Like one, it's like a perfect view because everyone's like not wanting to be near you.
Yep.
So you like can see the stage like perfectly. And also like everyone in there, like, yeah, it's a little violent, a little scary for new people, but most of the time, like people are really nice.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like I was at Guar about a year back, like
That
maybe a
must have
little
been
less than
fun.
a year. And I was in the pit the whole time.
That's
And
awesome.
dude, I was like owning that pit. Like these people, these are like grown men in there just throwing hands, and I'm like, bet.
You threw hands with the best of them. There you go.
Exactly. It was great. And like one of them lifted me up on his shoulder so I could see the stage at one point. And I was like, see, that's great. That's awesome. I'm never gonna see you again, but thank you so much and I love you. You know?
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, I've never seen Guar live, but I've heard them. They are really good.
Mhm.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not big into the punk scene, but they are one of the best bands that I've heard in that scene. So I can't shit on them. They're really good. Uh, but yeah, mosh pits, Dad, come on. You got to do one. You got to do
Exactly.
one.
That's what I'm saying. Like you gotta have the experience, dude. Come on. Come on now.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're in the end of the world party. You gotta have a party. Come on. Ah, no, that's awesome. I love the gimmick because you see a lot of gimmicks that are overused and stuff like that, but it feels fresher with you guys and it feels different. It doesn't feel like it's forced. It just feels like it's natural. So I love watching what you guys are doing. I was watching some of the promos that I seen on because the end of the world party followed me on Instagram today. So I was like, all right, let me watch some of their stuff. So I was watching the promos and stuff, and I'm like, these guys just have a different feel. You guys just have like this uniqueness to you. And I think it's just because you are a big punk fan that it just fits.
Yeah, like what we like to say is it's just us, but like times 10. Like it's
Hyven.
just us turned
Yep.
up.
Yep.
Hmm.
And that's all you can do. And I had another wrestler on my show not too long ago, Tom Coffey. Shout out Tom. But he was telling me this too, and he was saying that one thing he was told is in professional wrestling, you don't have to be a character. You can just be yourself, but times it by 10. And that's what makes you the best performers you can be. And I 100% agree. Like if you can go out there and be yourself and just have fun and enjoy what you're doing, you're going to be one of the greatest of all time. You
Oh
know?
yeah. And it's like it's noticeable when certain people like aren't themselves or they don't feel like comfortable
Yes.
with what they're doing. And like, but when you're out there and you're having fun and you're doing your thing and you can just like let loose,
Yep.
then it's like 10 times better.
Oh,
Once
100%.
once you incorporate more of yourself into that character is when it becomes real. You know,
Yep.
it's like it's just that's just how I see it, at least.
No, I get it. I get it 100%. I did see a clip that you guys posted about going to see the Barbie movie. Have you seen the Barbie movie? And how great was it?
I haven't yet. I
Oh
need to
man.
see it, but I haven't yet. Like, oh my God. Like,
I want to see it too. So I'm very bummed that I haven't seen it either.
dude,
I've heard
yes,
it's
like
fantastic. You know,
I've heard it is. I've heard it. The soundtrack is pretty fire, okay?
I
Like
haven't listened to the soundtrack yet because I don't want to ruin the movie for myself. I have to
it's
see it.
it's the soundtrack is fire from what I've heard, and like I just need to see it so bad, man. I just need to dress up in my pink outfit and go see the Barbie movie. Like
There's, you know what, and I it's so funny because I was thinking about just going by myself, and I had one of my friends like they were like, dude, you're a guy, why are you going to see the Barbie movie? And I'm like, because I want to, like, leave me alone, you know. So I've been trying to go to the stores and trying to find like a cool pink shirt that would I could go see it, and haven't found it yet. So I guess I have to wait, but I've heard it's fantastic. I want to see it. I don't even care if I go by myself. I'll go do it, you know. But I have seen the interactions you've had with Kid Bandit, and Kid Bandit is fantastic. I love Kid Bandit.
mhm.
How is it being around Kid Bandit once in a while? Because he's an inspiration. You know, I love Kid Bandit so much, and I think he inspires so many people, and he's got such a following. Um, you know, that people, you know, are gravitating towards Kid more because of him actually showcasing who he actually is. I should say they, because I don't think,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, they are showcasing who they are, and it's an amazing feeling because I've seen so many people gravitate towards him and, you know, post saying like, you know, you're the reason I'm me now, and it's such an inspiration. How is it being around Kid Bandit all the time?
Well, we've been around Kid Bandit like once, I think,
Okay.
and they are a vibe. I love them. They're so cool. Um, they're definitely like themselves out
Yes.
there, you know, like it doesn't change.
Yes.
Um, but they're so cool. And like when they came for to us for the idea of doing like the Barbie movie TikTok, I was like, yes, 100%. Like I love
Is that a match you would love to have versus Kid Bandit?
yes, 100%. Like I would love to wrestle Kid Bandit, bro. Like that would be amazing. Like,
They are one of the most talented wrestlers I've ever seen. You know,
mhm.
they bring their anime love into the ring. It, like we just said, they are themselves times 10 in that ring, and you can tell the comfortability that they have. And I would love to see that match too. I think one on one, you guys would put on a hell of a match. Absolutely.
Dude,
So
that would be so much fun.
Kid Bandit, we definitely need to see it happen. So let's get this going. Anarkid Ash versus Kid Bandit one on one. Let's do it. Are there any other dream matches that you would love to have?
100%. Definitely.
We know Ruby, obviously, right? So
Oh yeah. Mhm. But definitely like my top three right now would have to be like Maddie Rinkowski. She's been like killing it lately. She's always been
yes,
killing it, but
she's
like,
amazing.
dude, that would be crazy. Like I want to face her so bad. Billy Starks.
Another
Billy
amazing talent.
Starks. She is like so cool, and it'd literally be like an honor to do that.
Yep.
And then definitely Brooke Havoc. She's been killing it as well. And
Yep.
like, I want that. I want that.
All three names that have been in the wrestling business, I want to say under 5 years, and they're all
Mhm.
making huge names for themselves. So I think those would be great matches, especially you versus Brooke. Brooke is definitely to a T. You could tell she is 100% her in that ring as well. She's fantastic. You know, some of the stuff she does. And the first time I seen her on the Nightmare Factory showcase, I knew she was going to be a megastar. Unfortunately, her injury dropped her down a little bit there for a little bit. And then she came back and is absolutely killing it again. So that would be a wonderful match. Billy Starks, absolutely incredible. I think she's killing it too so much. Maddie, I've been watching a lot more of lately because I remember seeing her on AEW Dark and I was a fan. I thought she was very impressive. And just watching her, she's just so good in that ring. And I think that all three of those women, are going to be signed talent within the next 5 years. All of them,
Definitely.
because they're all fantastic. It doesn't matter where they go, NWA, Impact, MLW, they're all going to be big stars. Same with you, same with Kid. I truly believe you guys are all going to have amazing careers, and I can't wait to watch you grow as a wrestler. I think it's going to be an honor. Anybody watching this, please check out Anarkid Ash. She is absolutely incredible. She's going to do great things. Anarkid, do you want to tell the fans where they could find you on social media?
Okay, so it's Anarkid_Ash on Instagram and Twitter, but I do not use Twitter that much. So like, if you're gonna like contact me for stuff, don't use Twitter because I never check it. Anarkid_Ash. And then on Facebook, it's Ash GZA, which is Ash Garza, my name. And yeah, you can find me on those two places mainly. Like that's like the ideal spot.
We will definitely tag you so they could follow you too. Anarkid, like I said, I truly believe just by watching some of the stuff that you have out there, I do believe you're going to be a fantastic star in the future too. You're killing it in the present. I do believe big things are going to happen for you. So I'm excited to see what's next. Anarkid, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I was very honored to have you on here today. Guys, again, my name was Matt Kozakowski. I am your host of a pro wrestling podcast with Men and Friends. This is Anarkid Ash. Once again, till next time. Peace out, guys.